The author of Meghan, a Hollywood princess, has claimed the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's behaviour in the lead-up to their 2018 wedding caused tensions with the Queen. Author Andrew Morton has added 6 new chapters of the book that was first published in 2018. Mr Morton, writing in The Times, spoke of how Meghan threw a tiara tantrum shortly before the wedding. He wrote, in November 2018, just days after the couple returned from their successful tour down under, The Times reported that Meghan had thrown a tiara tantrum trademark. This was shortly before her wedding. The episode was because the tiara she wanted to wear was not available. Her prima donna behaviour apparently earned a rebuke from the Queen herself. The Queen then told Harry, "She gets what tiara she TMS given by me." Trademark in Mr Morton's article. He also claimed Prince Harry was irate when Meghan did not get her way. Mr Morton added that the Queen TMS dresser Angela Kelly became involved in the situation. He said that Ms Kelly, who is the guardian of Her Majesty TMS jewellery, is said to have informed the irate prince that certain security protocols had to be adhered to in order to access the priceless piece. However, the author claimed that Prince Harry protested. It was reported that he told anyone who would listen that what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. Mr Morton also claimed the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were driven out by Prince William's bullying attitude. However, this accusation has always been strongly denied by Prince William. The brothers then went and made a joint statement about the accusations. The statement read, "Despite clear denials, a false story ran in a UK newspaper today speculating about the relationship between the Duke of Sussex and the Duke of Cambridge. For brothers who care so deeply about the issues surrounding mental health, the use of inflammatory language in this way is offensive and potentially harmful." Jonathan Saccadotti said the couple TMS attempts to be relatable were being hampered by their decision to relocate to California and live the life of celebrities, in contrast to the role played by more traditional members of the royal family. Mr Saccadotti, a regular commentator on Sky News as well as a contributor to The Spectator, was speaking prior to Meghan and Harry TMS appearance at Saturday TMS Global Citizen Live event in Central Park in New York, which will emphasize the importance of equal access to COVID-19 vaccines, as well as urging people to take the opportunity to get jab. Earlier this month, they graced the cover of Time with a picture which cynics suggested had been heavily airbrushed. Mr Saccadotti told Express.co.uk, "I think it's fair looking at the Time magazine cover to say that they're focusing on their image, because that image in particular has been so manipulated and massaged into looking a certain way that nothing in it can be considered accidental." From Harry being reduced to the same height as Meghan by perching him on a wall, to both of them having what appears to be about 2 or 3 times the actual amount of hair they have on their head, to the white clothing for her and the black clothing for him, to her positioning, up front and center, and his peeking out from behind her. It seems so carefully planned as to give a very clear sign of what kind of image they're trying to put across. Mr Saccadotti said, "I see both of them very serious-faced, both of them looking you straight in the eye, Meghan, in the front and center, and Harry behind her. Meghan dressed in white, to show, presumably some sort of purity or saintliness almost, and Harry behind her, but with his arm resting on her shoulders, supportively." The carefully planned image gave an impression of the pair of them facing the future together, but with Harry slightly behind in a supporting role, Mr Saccadotti suggested. He added, "It certainly seems that Meghan in that magazine cover is the star of the show, and then the images inside the magazine as well as the two in matching green clothes walking through what appears to be their garden or a garden. It looks a bit like a mail order clothing catalogue shoot. I don't suppose that was exactly what they were going for, but it was styled to the nth degree, the clothing carefully chosen and color matched, the hair carefully coiffed, the image carefully airbrushed once it had been taken. I think it showed, if I may, a degree of vanity, because not only was it putting themselves forward as this influential couple, but it was doing so in a way that was so clearly very deeply concerned with exactly how they looked." One of the main criticisms which people level against Meghan and Harry since their departure from the UK, and the working royal family related to their apparent preoccupation with their image, Mr Sacerdoti claimed. He explained that they've expended what looks like a lot of energy on how they look, and their appearance, and this is almost a literal example of that. It's all about how they are seen, their image, how they look visually. And that's, I think, backing up that negative perception that so many people have about their activities. It doesn't seem likely to me that this was a surprise to them that they look that way in the image. I'm sure they must have known what was coming, and maybe they would be very pleased with it. But I think that maybe they will regret having gone for such a carefully manicured image, because it's received quite a backlash from some people. One of the challenges faced by the Sussexes was to convince the wider public of their authenticity, pointed out Mr Sacerdoti. He said, "I think authenticity today is a very important characteristic that people look for in thought leaders, or trendsetters. They want to feel authentic. It's very hard to demonstrate a level of authenticity, especially one that people can relate to, when you are extremely wealthy. When you're extremely wealthy through what is effectively inherited wealth from the monarchy, it's probably even harder. That's not a relatable thing. The traditional royals work very hard to be relatable while accepting the challenges they faced, realizing their position of inherited privilege came with great responsibility." He added, "And they behave in such a way that I think they try to relate to everybody else, and be authentic and relatable." Meghan and Harry were trying to do the same, but because they had in effect opted out of the royal family and embraced what Mr Sacerdoti called a US celebrity lifestyle, it was a much harder job. He stressed, "That's why did they come in for so much criticism for how they're doing it. If they're going to carve their own way ahead outside the royal family, which they've now done, I think they ought to perhaps reflect a bit more humility rather than have this sort of downward-looking preaching attitude towards the wider public." Beatrice and her husband Edoardo Morpelli have welcomed their first child into the world. Buckingham Palace broke the news, confirming that the royal had given birth on Saturday, and that both her and the baby girl were doing well. She weighed 6 pounds 2 ounces and was born at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. It means the Queen now has 12 great-grandchildren, with the baby 11th in line to the throne. In her own statement posted to social media, Beatrice wrote, "So delighted to share the news of the safe arrival of our daughter on Saturday 18th of September 2021, at 23.42, at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, London. Thank you to the midwife team and everyone at the hospital for their wonderful care." Beatrice and her sister Eugenie, who also had her first child earlier this year, grew up under a considerable amount of public attention. Their parents, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, went through a divorce that was quickly plastered across the world's media, the two young princesses caught in the crossfire. While Andrew and Sarah, affectionately known as Fergie, went on to enjoy a good relationship, working to bring Beatrice and Eugenie up, the pressure of royal life was still present. In 2018, Beatrice opened up about what it was like growing up under the watchful eye of the public and media during a joint speech with Eugenie on stage at We Day Festival. A movement Beatrice has previously worked with that is attempting to change the world by giving young people and adults tools of empowerment. Speaking about bullying, Beatrice said, "There will be too many moments on this stage today where you will hear stories of bullying. I don't believe that there are many things in life that can make you feel more vulnerable, more helpless, more alone, than being bullied. It comes in many forms. We all suffered our fair share along the way. Growing up in the public eye means every embarrassing, slightly awkward growth spurt, or hilarious fashion moment, is published around the world. Don't miss together we have laughed, together we have cried. Ultimately though, together we fueled each other as of humor. When stones are being thrown, we reassure each other that people don't often understand how hurtful they can be. This especially in the world we live in today." Like her sister's first child, August, Beatrice's baby will not be given a title by the royal family. This is a result of King George V's 1917 letters patent, which limits the number of family members with titles. It states that only the children and of the monarch will hold a royal title along with the children of the monarch TMS, sons and the eldest grandson of the Prince of Wales, who is directly in line to the throne. Ahead of the birth of Prince William's children, the Queen issued a new letters patent so that all of them would be a prince or princess, but she has not made similar provisions for any of her other great-grandchildren. However, while Beatrice's child will not be a princess, she will inherit an historical title from Mr Morton's side of the family. He is descended from Italian nobility, whose ancestral seat is the Villa Morton in the Bergamo province of Italy. His official title is Count, but it is not recognized in either Italy or the UK since Italy scrapped its aristocratic titles. However, their baby girl will be given the title of nobile donna, which translates to noble woman.